Hello everyone. Hi Norman, how are you? Hello Teresita. Hi McNeil. Hello Lorelli. We can use the chat box, yes, to say a quick hello and which part of Philippines you guys are from, just to break the ice. Hello Maria. Hello Romel. So we'll wait for another minute for rest of the attendees to join the session and we'll start the webinar. Hello Achi. Well, thank you everybody for joining in this pre-information webinar. We'll just start in less than a minute now. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining the session. Welcome to the pre-information webinar on Chief Information Officer Program by Asian Institute of Management. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Great. Thank you so much. So this is the agenda for the webinar today. We talk about emeritus program details like the duration, the fees, the time commitment that would be required. We talk about the professor, uh, the advantage of doing this program from AIM, who is this program designed for, the learning outcomes, what you're going to learn and how you're going to apply those learnings in real world situation, how detailed and insightful the curriculum is, program highlights, certification, Q&A, and then next steps. So about Emeritus, Emeritus partners with the best universities in the world to create online courses. Asian Institute of Management has collaborated with Emeritus to create online courses. So we have served over 250,000 students from across the world. Okay, so you can see the bifurcation here on the right-hand side. So here are the program details. So the Asian Institute of Management's Chief Information Officer program offers a comprehensive curriculum that equips you with the technical and leadership knowledge and skills to meet global industry standards. So the program offers in-depth knowledge of technology-led leadership and strategy, infrastructure security and governance, technology innovation and emerging technologies. So this program commences on 27th of March, that is next week, another 7 days. Duration of the program would be 28 weeks. The format is live online sessions, quite interactive. The time commitment that one would require would be 4 to 6 hours per week. And these sessions would be conducted by faculty or industry experts. The program fees is 6,000 US dollars. Eligibility criteria for this program is any graduate or diploma holder with minimum work experience of 10 years and a leadership experience of 5 years can go ahead and enroll for this program. However, the kind of people that we have in this program, the average work experience would be somewhere around 15 to 20 years. So a great place to grow your professional network. Can we move on to the next slide? Thank you so much. So here we have today with us Professor Albert G. Matthew. He is the head of School of Executive Education and Lifelong Learning at the AIM, the Asian Institute of Management. His expertise lies in general management, sales, and marketing. business development, corporate finance, and human resource management, with research interest in leadership, small and medium businesses. So over to you, Professor Matthew.
All right. Thank you very much, Vikram. And
Welcome.
welcome everyone to our webinar for the program information session about the Chief Information Officer program. All right. So as Vikram mentioned, I'm Prof. Albert. All right. And later on, I'll be introducing a guest speaker that we will be having for today. He will also be part of the teaching faculty, and he's actually an ex-CIO, right? So that we will be able to now not only discuss about the program details, but allow you to to actually think about how a program like this can be helpful if you are already currently a CIO or if you aspire to be a CIO in the future. Okay, so let's get started. So why AIM? All right, as you know, AIM has been existing in the Philippines for about 55 years. All right, so we have been created by the vision of Harvard Business School to actually create some sort of a similar institution around Asia, right? But because they cannot physically come here, right, and establish a physical school for Harvard, what they have done is they have partnered with local business luminaries during the time, together with other institutions, educational institutions, and then created AIM. All right, and of course, over the years, we have kept the legacy given to us by Harvard Business School. Our method is actually case-based, right? And predominantly, we are also utilizing a lot of, the different materials developed within the intellectual property of the academic institution of Harvard. All right, and that's how we have maintained our reputation and, of course, the the quality of education that we have. So in essence, we are the only and the first AACSB accredited school, right, in the Philippines. And which actually signifies the standards. No other Philippine school university is an AACSB accredited because it's very hard for anyone to actually keep a very high standard with respect to their systems, their faculty, the way they're teaching, all the different processes that they have to ensure the continuous update of the program are being made to make sure that they're all relevant and really addresses current business needs in the life. So because of that, currently we're still number one among the different universities in the Philippines for the Center for World University Ranking. And as far as our MBA is concerned, we are globally number 19. All right. For example, for that ranking. And of course, as I mentioned a while ago, we are number one in Asia to actually get the AACSB accreditation among the different universities across Asia Pacific. Okay. So who is this program for? No? So essentially, when we were designing this program, we really wanted to make sure that we help professionals to actually accelerate, level up their competencies and levels. So essentially those people who are already for example if you're in the IT industry or IT profession, those people who are already in a very senior position, sometimes wherever you are a manager position, a director position, you're already the head of the head of IT. Maybe it's different organizations call their positions differently, right? Head of IT, senior director, a director, and the like. No, or sometimes in a smaller organization, you are being called an IT manager and the like. So long as you are head of an IT organization or you aspire to be the head of the organization in the future, then this program will be for you. All right. So we have created different programs for C-suite. For example, we also have a chief finance officer program, right? And also a CEO program, a COO program, a CHRO program, chief marketing, chief sales, and the like. So we really wanted to make sure that AIM offers a program that is really relevant in the market. No, for those people who cannot take really a master's program, they can be able to take a very functional and focused area of development. Okay, so that's why this inspired us to create the Chief Information Officer program. So essentially, what we wanted to achieve in the long term is for you to contribute. No? So similar to any other C-suite executive in the organization, the primary role is about business first and then function second. All right. So we really wanted to make sure that, especially nowadays in the era of digital transformation, the IT function will contribute to the development of a very profitable growth with the use of technology, with the use of streamlined process, the use of AI, the way we actually make use of efficiency improvement, no, through either agile methodology, the traditional way of project management, or even Scrum method, no, and the like, so that you'll be able to now identify various ways, no, for you to actually leverage technology, so that you can be able to improve profitability through efficiency improvement, right? And of course, it's not about just having technology, but all of this will have to be appropriate and aligned with the strategy of the organization. And then from there, identify certain risk aspects, no, as you deploy more automation, more technology as part and parcel of your operations and platform. Definitely there will be certain vulnerabilities, risk as attached to that, or some areas, no, that you need to focus on. So we really want to make sure that this is a holistic development program, no, for everyone. And of course, over and above that, the role, the leadership role of a CIO. Okay, so that's why, based on that particular objective in mind, we have created several pillars, no, for the program in order for the CIO to be very effective, no, in its role. So pillar number one, we'll talk about digital leadership and strategy. So essentially, as I mentioned, majority of the C-suite responsibility is to make sure that all the things that they do in their respective functions, in their respective departments, are driving growth and business value. So that's why the first pillar will be talking about digital leadership and strategy. And module number one will be, which will be taught by our guest speaker for today, is about the evolving role of the CIO, right? So because over the years, I'm sure, no, I'm Gerard and I, no, had more than 30 years, no, of management experience, no, and during my time when I actually established HP a long time ago, no, maybe in the 90s, in the Philippines. One of the things that are driving technology during the time is creation of data centers, the employment of computers, no, in the workplace and the like, no? And over the years, majority of the IT departments are focusing on tools, no, hardware, software, and the like, no. So, but given the past few years, no, that we all been seeing, the industry, the different marketplace competitive landscape has really became very very complex, and because of that complexity and a lot of uncertainty in the environment, a lot of the companies will need to really re-strategize and develop means in order for them to improve their competitive advantage. No? And that's why many industries have been disrupted, no, by a lot of digital transformation. Right? So, and that's the role of the CIO. No? The technology officer will have to ensure that the strategy for the company is supported very well, no, with digital platforms, transformation strategies in order for them to ensure that there's long-term sustainability and profitability will be there. So that's why modules 1 to 3 will be about that, no? How to drive that strategy, how to drive culture, how to drive innovation, and how to manage the different assets that you have, no? Including people, no, and human capital. Okay, so that's why module 4 will be talking about situational leadership in the digital age. This is where the class I will be handling. All right, so as we know, many of our Gen Z workforce, no, is increasing its number, right, over the years. No, so how do we now navigate through this very multi-generational type of workforce and be able still to drive, right, leadership, to drive, to inspire our people, to actually contribute and add value to the organization, right? And some of these may necessitate change, no? So that's why module 5 will be talking about change management for IT leaders, no? And then in the end, how to now make to make good decisions, no? In order for you to make sure that all of these options that we're taking a look at, it's really evaluated from a very data-driven, very solid parameters for decision making, right? So that will now constitute pillar number one. And then from there, of course, because of the digital transformation and the fast evolution of technology, then we will now go into agile, all right? Because definitely because of the many things that we have to do in IT, we have to really inevitable that we have to invest in a lot of projects, right? And because of that, we will have to manage all of these projects, all of these initiatives, whether we will do it on our own, we will build, for example, software applications on our own, or do we partner with external people, no, and embrace an open innovation mindset, no, rather than developing everything from scratch. All right. And because of that, then inevitably we will be dealing with different providers, different vendors, different partners who will enable you to actually bring about the vision that you have created, no, for your digital transformation, right? So that's where the content or the concentration of pillar number two will be revolving around, no? And of course, in pillar number three, we're going to talk about innovation and emerging technologies, no? So the way to technology as it is evolving today, right? So, but in essence, our role as CIO is to be able to now navigate, let's say, and project what's going to happen in the future, and then backcast that to current times, no? So that if, for example, if let's say generative AI will really play a role, for example, in your nature of business, if robotics, no, or automation and the like will all be there. So how do you now, prepare for that eventuality that, all of these things, no, will now be present, no, in your major operation. So you have to think about the future and then be able to now bridge that to the current times, no, and being able to now evaluate all the different technological innovation that is present. The use of AI and machine learning is very much in our midst. So how do we now evaluate the application of that? Sometimes, people are carried away with sexist things, no, and that is happening around us. But to see the actual application, no, and tailor fitting all of these available solutions, no, that will tailor fit the strategy, that will tailor fit the business, the nature of the business, is something that people will need to really still continue to, to improve, no. Because instituting technology will not be achieving anything if it will not be aligned, no, in sync with how the business operates. All right, and of course that's how the different ecosystem within the platform will have to be evaluated. No, whether you still continue to be a brick and mortar type of business, or you really wanted to navigate into the digital arena space, no, as part and parcel of your growth expansion. Right? So that will be now the coverage for pillar number three. And then for pillar number four is where now the hard stuff IT, all right, will come to the picture, because we really wanted to make sure that you are very much familiar and you get yourself abreast about recent and latest thinking, mental models, and frameworks about data strategy management, about DevOps, no? If you wanted to create your own developing team, programming team, how to now to do business process automation and optimization, and of course, tying it up with the way you budget, all right, the way you actually ask for resources, spreading over your capital expenditures, both from a hardware perspective, software perspective, security perspective, and the like, and then creating some sort of a metric and performance dashboard towards the end. All right, and in pillar number five, that's where we will now talk about governance and risk management, no? Because as I mentioned a while ago, all of these opportunities are here. The CIO will still be the one to be responsible, no, about us making sure that all of the different deployment of technology will still safeguard, the business itself, right? So that's why we will have to think about how you are organizing your enterprise architecture, all right, and how you now managing all this risk and create a governance structure in terms of cybersecurity measures, and how to be able to now leverage about all of these different cloud systems that will be there, no? And of course, wrapping it up with business continuity and resilience so that the BCP will always be there, right, as a means, no, di ba? When systems are down, so what do we now do, di ba? So that's where normally the IT people will spend a lot of time, no, managing the business requirements. And of course, in the end, how do we now manage intellectual property, no? For that particular all the developments that we're doing, no? In our internal and in partnership with others, all right, type of resources and infrastructure. Okay, and then towards the end, of course, we wanted this to be a holistic development training program. So that's why there will be a capstone wherein you'll now be able to now apply the different learnings from here so that you can be able to now address the different problems, different pain points, different challenges that you're experiencing in your respective organizations, and then create some sort of a, an IT strategy map, right? That you can be able to now make use of as a guide to actually demonstrate and orchestrate, no, the different strategies that you wanted to do. Okay, so that in a nutshell will now provided the holistic aspect, no, of that. So in summary, similar to what Vikram mentioned, no, so this is a 28-week immersive learning, all right, from not only from any business school, from the best business school in the Philippines. It will be a 100% live online session from our renowned faculty who are very not only academically exposed, but they're also practitioners in their own right. Okay. And of course, in the end, we will now, towards the end, we will also allow you to meet your classmates, all right, physically, if you're able to now do that. So we will have a formal graduation, and some of that particular last day of class will be conducted here at the campus. And of course, after that, you will get a very prized, no, and demanded certificate from Asian Institute of Management. And then you will now be admitted as an alumni, no, of AIM after you finish the program. And from there, you will now, because all of this, the way we conduct our programs, both from degree, is the same way that we conduct our programs in executive education. So all the faculty are the same. We use the same case study method. We use the same methodology of engaging participants so that it will be a holistic learning. No? You will not just be sitting there, di ba, similar to other training programs, di ba, that you've attended, no? Parang all the trainers are there just providing you tons and tons of information. But the way we do it at AIM is different. We really wanted it to be a co-constructed learning between the faculty and also the different participants, no? To create a different immersive experience. All right, so that's how we're going to now do that. So at this point, I'd like to actually segue to an actual application, no, of the different things, no, that may affect, no, your decision to actually take this program. So let me now introduce very quickly Gerard Doctora, all right, who is an experienced digital transformation consultant, an ex-CIO, Pfizer, and Warner Lambert. So maybe I can ask a few minutes, no, for Gerard to introduce himself, all right, to the audience. So Gerard,
Hi.
yes.
Hello. Thank you, Prof. Albert, and good evening, everyone. Thanks for the invite, Albert, and for the opportunity to be part of this program. I'll be happy to share my learnings and insights from my IT journey.
All right. Thank you very much, Gerard. Okay, so maybe di ba you were the CIO of both Pfizer, Warner Lambert, and many other organizations, no? So, what do you think are the factors, no, that contribute to your professional growth, no, and journey before you reach this particular position, no, the top position in the IT organization?
Right. Thank you for the question, Albert, Prof. Albert. And you're right. No, it's been 30 plus years of IT experience. Eventually I became a CIO. It didn't happen it didn't happen overnight. I had to do a lot of preparations. I had to put in a lot of hard work. And this is something that I can share with the group, no?
Okay.
In this program. So I actually started as a systems analyst way back in 1991.
Wow.
I remember during the 1990s, it was the time when companies were implementing ERP systems.
Yes.
right? Enterprise resource planning systems. So I started as a systems analyst, and that was in San Miguel Foods Incorporated
I
at the
see.
time. Okay. And eventually I got promoted. Um, I became an MIS manager in 1996. Not in San Miguel Foods, but in a different company. So you might wonder, it was so fast. It was only 5 years, right?
Yes. Oh.
But I think one thing that I would encourage everyone to do is you need to you need to set your career goal early on, right? So when I was a systems analyst, I said I want to be an IT manager. What do I need? What are the factors? What are the capabilities and competencies that I need so that I can become an IT head, an MIS manager? So I started, I took a piece of paper, I jotted down, and there's no rocket science. It's simply, it's simply about people, right? You need to work with people. You need to
Yes.
supervise people, right? And it's all about, understanding technology, right? It's also about understanding the business processes, right? But most importantly, it's about finding that business fit. You know, there may be we may have great technologies out there, but if you implement it in your company, and if it's not a good fit, it will not fly, right? It will you will not be successful. So I think that was key, Prof. Albert, because I was able to identify what do I need to become an IT head at the time, right? And in fact, I use that in my interviews. Every time when I applied to prospective companies, I use that map. I use those. I just talk about that during the interview. It was very very easy for. So eventually, I became an IT head in 1996. That was in Warren Lambert, Philippines,
Yes.
right? And I even got promoted into I became an MIS director, right?
Yes.
But can I call myself a CIO at the time? Probably not, right? Because at that time I was reporting into the VP of Finance, right? So I was not part of the leadership team,
I see.
right? So my next goal that I set was I said I want to be part of that leadership team. I want I want to have a seat at the table,
Yes.
right? Because I feel that one good thing about IT guys is we work on a lot of projects in different functions. We have a holistic view of the end-to-end process of the organization,
Yes.
right? Especially if you're exposed to the different functions, implementing solutions. So that's
Yes.
one advantage that we have, because if somebody from marketing, they just focus on marketing. Somebody from sales, just sales. While us, we work on multifunction, right? So said, there are a lot of ways we can help. But at that time, I didn't have. I was a part of the leadership team, so I said my next goal was I want to have a seat at the table,
Okay.
right? And that was and eventually in 2007, um, I became the head of IT in Wyatt Philippines in a dual role, local Wyatt outfit and regional in a regional role,
Wow.
right? So I said, um, was I already a full-fledged CIO at the time? Probably almost there, 80%,
Okay.
right? But at the time, I was directly reporting into the regional CIO, but I had the dotted line reporting into the president, into the country president, right? So at that time, uh, I can say I had a seat at the table, right? So I've earned the seat at the table, And the next challenge was, how do you maintain and sustain that seat at the table?
Oh,
you know, it's not a birthright, right? It's one thing that you've earned it, but it's another thing. It's another thing to earn it, to 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 make sure that you're able to build relationship with your peers, with the other leadership team, and that they would value your advice. They would come to you for guidance and consultations on how to enable their business process through technology, right? So I think in a nutshell, Prof. Albert, um, uh, that's a typical journey that an IT person will go through. You'll start at the bottom, and you need those experiences at the bottom, because when you're up there,
yes,
you have to make sure that you understand what your people are saying, what your people are telling you, right?
yes.
So maybe I'll pause there, Prof. Albert.
Okay. Thank you very much, Gerard. No, so that was a very comprehensive, parang journey, no, for you, no, from a functional perspective all the way to the business, all the way to regional strategies, and the like, no. But as I mentioned a while ago, Gerard, di ba? So in the business in the 21st century, di ba? So majority of the complexities of the business is about digital disruption, because it's not only about our products, di ba? Our products, our inventions, our services that will really matter. No? So many companies have been displaced, no? Because they were challenged, no, by a particular organization that disrupted, no, through digital technology. So in that regard, all right, what do you think are the essential factors that will contribute that the CIO today will continue to be relevant, that will continue to be strategic, no, in this era of many disruptions, no, are happening in the digital age?
Thank you for the question, Prof. Albert. And you'll see that trend nowadays in most corporations, right? So IT leaders are being called on to take a broader role in corporate leadership and in growing the business, right? And the pandemic certainly helped us, because it's like it fast tracked all the digitalization that needed to happen, right? So, and I think the CEOs, the leadership team, they're warming up on us. They've come to recognize that, oh, IT is an essential partner in growing the business. So that's a good thing for us, IT guys, right? So the pandemic did the work for us, did the convincing work for us, right? Um, so I think the challenge now is upon us, right? So we're being called on to have a bigger role, right? We're being called on to contribute to grow the market share, to grow the business, to enable the business through digital transformation and what have you, right? So I think the question is, in whatever capacity you are now as an IT leader, so the question is your IT function digital ready, right? So is your IT function digital ready? And what do we mean by digital ready? It means that, you know, uh, for companies to innovate at scale and outperform competitors, as you said, Prof. Albert, in the digital age, companies need to be tech forward. They need to be tech forward. And what does tech forward mean? That means embedding technology into the company's business strategy and operating model, right? So that's the reality now. But the question is, are we up to it? Do you have the chops to manage IT, right? So maybe we can describe, what's a digital ready IT function like.
Yes.
So to my mind, it's one that is fast, one that is adaptable,
Okay.
focused on the end user, and able to deliver business value. I think those are the key um, capabilities and that we need to bring into the table.
All right. Thank you very much for sharing, Gerard. So I'm getting excited, no? If I am an IT person in this particular webinar, no? What kind of journey I'll be experiencing, no? If I will be able to meet different CIOs like you, no? I'll be conducting the program. So maybe as a final question for me, no? I'm sure that different people are in the different career stages, no? So some of the people who are enrolling in a lot of our programs are already CIOs, for example, and some of them are actually maybe managers, as you described a while ago, or some of them are still they are aspiring to be CIO someday, similar to how you have created your own journey map, no? For yourself. No? So if there will be one advice that you can give all of our participants present today, all right, having gone through 30 years of experience, no? So what advice you can give them, all right, in order for them to really reach the dream job, no, that they have in the IT industry?
Well, Prof. Albert, the first advice is, guys, you need to attend this CIO program of AIM. The challenge, we have a big challenge ahead of us, right? And it's not like we are born ready. Normally, we need to build our capabilities along the way, right? So we would normally start as a service provider, right? Keeping the lights on, making sure that the data center is working, making sure that the email is working, right? And then we transition into becoming a solution provider. Now we're implementing applications, we're implementing solutions, and I think one thing I've learned in implementing solutions, we don't own the project. There has to be a business owner. We are enablers, right? Don't make the mistake of owning that, because however good your technology is, if there's no business owner, it will not fly. Until the goal is to become a strategic collaborator, right? A strategic collaborator. So that's the end goal, and it's about partnering with the leadership team. It's about partnering with the business to enable them. So good luck to everyone in whatever stage in your career you are now in IT. But we need all the help we can. We need all the sharing, advices. We just have one goal, right? The role of the CIO is evolving. Are we up to the challenge? I think that's the question.
All right. So thank you very much. All right. Thank you, Prof. Gerard. No, so again, no, guys, no. So I think this is one of the different type of webinars that we've conducted. No, kasi I really felt that with the program, like this, no, it is best for you to see who are the different people that you'll be interacting with, the faculty, right, and of course the classmates that you're going to have, and what kind of conversations, no, your real life experiences, no, you can get from attending a program like this. So aside from Gerard, definitely there will be different CIOs, no, so. Prof. Raul Rodriguez is also an ex-CIO of Maynilad. And then we have Prof. Philip Hua, who is a cybersecurity expert from Singapore, right? And then different professionals, no, that are really expert in the respective fields. No? So I hope that you can be able to now see more or less in a nutshell, no, what's in store for you, no, when you evaluate joining our program moving forward. And of course, right, so the IC in the cake is, of course, you'll be getting a postgraduate certificate, all right, from AIM, and you will now be admitted as an alumni of AIM after you finish the program. No? So when you graduate and when you complete the program, definitely you'll now be able to now get different benefits, no, of doing that. No? So one is you'll be able to join and of course network with almost 50,000 now alumni of AIM over many countries. Right, and you can have your own page in our AIM Connect, right, platform. and then be able to now network with other people. So it can provide you different opportunities for partnering, for networking, for career advancements and the like, no, because you're all within the same network, right, of all AIM graduates in the past, both executive education and all of our master's programs. And then the beauty about this is after you do this, because we are from the executive education and lifelong learning, once you become an alumni of AIM, you will already get an automatic 20% discount in any other programs to be taking in the future. So that's for life, no? Once you become an AIM alumni, any programs that you'll be taking to support your lifelong learning journey, we will be there to support you. All right. And of course, access to our Knowledge Resource Center, all of the different invitations to all of our lifelong learning education, breakfast fora, maybe different events, no, that we're organizing for our alumni. So that's what's in store when you complete the program with AIM. So let me now turn you over back to Vikram, our host for the Q&A portion, and of course the final reminder for the program.
Thank you so much, Professor Alberto and Professor Gerard, for such an insightful session. I hope there are a lot more information that people are going here today with. So please drop in your questions in the Q&A box. We have the faculty member who will be also answering those questions. Please feel free to put in the questions in the box.
Don't be shy, everyone. Okay. Okay, so I think there's a question about the next scheduled program for March 27. So we haven't decided on the next batch yet, no? But essentially, definitely there will be another one. But the timing of that, I'm not so sure. All right. So definitely, this will be a very flexible program. So you can be able to now, and all classes are held on a Saturday, right? So it still be able allow you to participate, right? Wherever you are, right? Because this will be conducted online via Zoom, so you can evaluate that, no? So that's how we do it. But to answer your question directly, we're not yet sure when is the next program going to be offered, right? So, but this we are concentrating all our attention to making sure that we create a particular good cohort, no, for this particular batch. Okay, so any other questions, everyone? All right. So there are no questions, then yeah. Okay. If an employer is proposed for the program on the position job role, whom do we need to speak? Uh, All right. So I'm not so sure whether I understood your question correctly. All right. So, but in essence, if I'm not so sure whether you're asking if the company is the one going to sponsor you, right, for the program, then we can still be able to So I think later on there will be a contact person that Vikram will provide you. So just speak with your enrollment officer. All right, and then you can discuss all of these different arrangements that you might have regarding your enrollment in the program, and if the company will be paying for it, so they can you can make an arrangement with them with respect to billing, payments, schedules and the like. So I think it would be very good for you to actually have a discussion with our program advisors, no? Which Vikram will be sharing with you shortly. All right. So I hope.
Definitely. Thank you.
I answered the question. Yes, right. Yes. All right. So they wanted the contact number, Vikram. So maybe we can go through this and then answer another one. Yes.
Definitely, Professor. So yes, so this is the details wherein you can schedule a call with your program advisor. It would be either me or Vivek. We would be there helping you out, giving you more insights about the program, understanding your requirement. So you can email us on info@emeritus.org or call us at +633 444 74054, right? And also you can WhatsApp us to the given number on the screen. I'll be sharing my email ID as well. You can drop me an email as well.
This will be actual persons will be calling you if that's what you're asking for the last question. When you call this number, yes, a live person will answer you. Okay. So aside from what I heard from what are the advantages? So for me, I think based on what I have heard from Gerard, what Gerard is saying, no? So in any type of in any type of program, of course, aside from the actual learning, no, that you'll be getting, which is the primary objective, no? Kasi, di ba, in reality, we do not know what we do not know, right? So even if we are an experienced IT CIO, if you're an experienced IT professional, and the like. There are many things that will surprise us that we do not know, right? So again, that's the beauty about attending, continuous investment, in your lifelong learning journey. The second one is you will not be only getting learning, no? You will be getting a credential, no? Not from any other training company, no? Not from any other university for that matter. No? It will be coming from the #1 business school, right, in the Philippines. So again, from a career perspective, right? So you know that this particular program is valued about $6,000, but if you compare that with our MBA, for example, no, which is currently priced at about $38,000, no? So that one is a different route altogether because that is a master's in business administration. So the IT people who are enrolling in those programs need to develop their general management skills. But this program is really tailor fit if you really wanted to concentrate in IT, similar to Gerard's journey. He became part of management, but he decided to actually concentrate still in IT. All right. So this type of program that is concentrated on a particular function, a particular area of expertise, is for those people who wanted specialization. So I think, and when you get a specialization certificate, no, a postgraduate certificate and a chief information officer program will really tell a lot of your current employer, your prospective employers, and the like about how you value development. I think that is what a good signal, no, to different people, no, that you're after that, and then who knows, similar to what Gerard experienced, no, that you'll be the type of talent, no, that the company wants to head IT. All right, because they know that you will not stop learning. You will not just you will always evaluate trends about signals about what's happening in the environment, so that you will always add value. Be able to enable the businesses to actually compete very well in the marketplace, to be able to achieve all the business objectives. No? So I think that's the for me, no, that's what you can get, no, when you actually get into the program, no, both learning certain things that you do not know so that you can add more value to the organization, and of course get something out of it, right, by being able to get a credential that is not very accessible to everyone. All right, so I hope that will now be the session. All right, I answered your question. All right. So online session, yes. It will be a pure online program. All right. So, but it will be a live session. All right. So we have other programs that we offer that are combination of asynchronous, meaning video recorded programs, or classes, but this one is a live online, meaning there will be a live faculty and a live set of students. And as I mentioned towards the end, right, you'll be able to now have an opportunity to meet all your classmates, go to campus and the like. So kasi we really wanted to make sure that this program, given your load, no, as IT professionals, no, we know that coming to class physically may be a challenge. So, but we're doing it virtually online, then a lot more people will be, this program will be a lot more accessible, no, to a lot of professionals. All right. So we have designed it to really make it attractive to a greater need, no, of the market. All right, but definitely you will still have an opportunity to network, to see your, to see the campus, to determine how you can collaborate moving forward. Definitely there will be some sort of a grouping, right? A messaging app maybe in order for you to coordinate with one another and the like. No? So some of the things that, for example, that we are not doing, but students are doing, all right, is that let's say they will be able to now form a learning team, for example. So some of them are actually taking classes together. All right, so we don't. It's not part of how the system is designed or this program is designed. But what they do, they come to the campus, they book some sort of a meeting room for about 3 to 4 people, and they all attend the program together. So again, that is something that they do on their own. Participants do on their own in order for them to have their own different flavor. No, again, different people learn differently, right? So if there's a need for you to, if you're enrolled in the program together, by all means, you can organize some sort of a group session together. All right, and the like. So those are possibilities because we are all adult learners, and we do whatever is conducive, no, for us individually or as group. All right. So I hope I answered your question. All right. Okay. So if there are no more other questions, all right, then Vikram, yes.
Right. Thank you so much, Professor, for answering those questions. So any other questions anyone wants to put in the Q&A box, please feel free.
Okay, so it seems, yes, if there are no questions, then I hope that you will really consider, right, this program, that will be helpful for you to get knowledge, experience sharing with, not only with your classmates, but also with top-notch professionals in the IT profession. All right, and we're looking forward to actually welcome you on March 27, when we do have our first class. Okay, so Freddy, yes. All right, so maybe Freddy, if you can use the Q&A tab, all right, to ask your question. Yes. All right. So there's a definite time. Yes. Definitely all classes will be held on Saturdays. So this will be part and parcel of your onboarding. So I think March 27 will be that day. And you will have an access to the learning management system. Wherein all classes, all materials will all be there, and you'll be all be guided. You'll be all be assisted, for example, to make sure that you are in the right module, in the right part of the program. There will also be a point person, all right, to help you with your learning journey. All right, there will be some tutorials and other, group sessions that will be organized in order for you to be able to now ensure that you are not only learning from the faculty, but you're also, be able to network with one another. No? And that's what we are going to now do for this program. All right, so all of those schedules will be pre-released, all right, and you'll be able to now know all the schedules when you enroll in the program. But the classes will always be on a Saturday. All right. Okay, so I hope I answered that question. All righty, so I think if there are no further questions, then I'd like to thank everyone for being here. And I hope to see you in our program.
Thank you so much, Professor, for being here today. Thank you for your time. Thank you, the participants, for joining in. And please feel free to reach out to us in case any further questions you have, and hope to see you on board soon for this particular program. Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope
Bye.
to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you, Gerard. Thank you.